Welcome back to Strange Minds 6. I'm your host Ruby, and today we're going to be getting back into The Octunnumi by Trevor Allen Forrest. Now, before we begin, I would like for you to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And yeah, without further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, sit back and relax, and let's get to it. Now what? The professor, Trad, and Mansfield continued to stare out onto the lake. At least where they think the lake is. The only clue being the water's edge at which they were standing. Vibi sits on Trad's shoulder, eyes enlarged in an attempt to see beyond the end of her nose. To say that it is dark gives the impression that there is some light. This dark makes black positively sunny. The sky is pitch black. The woodland behind them that the mech horses had so superbly negotiated them through is pitch black. Black is actually too colorful a word to use to describe the almost suffocating black. Peering up in the general direction of the sky, Trad scans for stars, a moon, something. Even the usually brilliant light from the omnibus lanterns and the many light orbs dotted around the trees are somehow choked by the blackness, unable to travel further than its immediate self, and so quiet, unnaturally so. Not a sound, not a ripple from the lake or a rustle from the trees, just still, claustrophobic and black. Shivering slightly at the eeriness of the place, Trad glances back to his brother. "So what now?" he asks again. "We wait," Reg replies. "For what?" "The land to show itself, of course." "Okay," Trad says, not really expecting anything less from his brother, and resumes looking at the darkness. "Well," Reg announces, clapping his hands together, "it may be a while, so we might as well just eat. I thought we could cook something up on a campfire," he says enthusiastically, indicating the unlit fire he was busily collecting for. Humming happily to himself, his light orb following his every move, he continues to collect and add dry leaves to the base of the perfect pile of sticks as he meticulously constructed. Heading back to the omnibus, the others pause for a moment to watch as Reg frantically rubs two sticks together at high speed, stops, gently blows, then starts again. Vibi, sliding down from Trad's shoulder, opens a compartment in her arm, produces a large match, and, on reaching Reg, sticks it on her leg and offers him the flame. No, I've got this," he chirps, "but thanks for the offer." "Vibi, okay," she replies, shrugs, blows out the match, and rejoins the others. At a loss as to why Reg didn't just take the match, Mansfield pats the mech horses, and with the professor they both disappear inside. When you have quite finished trying to get your Boy Scout badge, Reg, Trad says, bemused by his brother's fascination with fire, Phoebe and I will be in our spacious, not to mention warm, dining room, being served a delicious meal as prepared by our resident chef. He pauses. You are welcome to join us. Phoebe, join us. Phoebe echoes. Sure, sure. Reg answers brightly without looking up. Pausing, Trad and Phoebe watch Reg's continued attempts before Trad discreetly clicks his fingers, sending a small spark to the base of Reg's sticks. Yeah! Reg declares as the leaves ignite. Well done. Can we go now? But we can all... Oh. Reg says, realizing that the others are inside. Okay. Taking one last look at the fire before extinguishing it, and following shortly after his brother. Table now laid with fine crockery, shiny silver cutlery, and sparkling crystal glassware greets them as they enter the omnibus. Reg brushes leaves and bits of sticks from his coat and trousers as he closes the doors behind him. Sitting fireside, the professor puts down his book as Manfield enters from the opposite direction and Trad seats himself at the table. Phoebe, swinging in behind him across the beams, lands smoothly to his left, next to her own miniature table and chair. The four of them, resplendent in black tie and tails. Nice of you to join us, Trad grins at Reg. I just wanted to embrace the atmosphere, Reg says sulkily. After all, the view is stunning. What view? Mansfield mutters. You can't see anything. Not right now, Reg retorts, but the island is breathtaking, adding quietly, when you can see it. Oh yes, I forgot the invisible island, Trad chuckles. Its name is Cienvestist. And it's not invisible. It is just not visible, well, to people it doesn't like. So now it has feelings, Trad says. And why, my good man? The professor asks as he joins the others at the table, shakes out his napkin and places it on his knee. Why has it not appeared? Perhaps it does not like someone in our group. Reg focuses on Trad. Oh, that's right. It's bound to be my fault, Trad says. Well, there is that little matter of the last summer solstice, Reg mumbles. I won fair and square, Trad retorts. Well, you won. That's right, I did. You cheated. Did not, did too. You are lucky that the Prince Regent found it so funny. Who? Mansfield asks. You don't know him? No. Should I? Mansfield replies, shaking his head. Well, why? The professor interrupts. Why would you take such a risk and even contemplate cheating him? It wasn't exactly cheating. Yes, it was, Reg interrupts Trad, pulling out a chair at the table, his uniform morphing into his dinner suit as he sits. He adds, You read his mind. Actually, Trad says, he had been allowing me to read his mind. What he didn't expect was that I had figured out he was giving me the wrong information. He hands Phoebe a tiny napkin as she sits at her table and nearly tucks the cloth into her collar. As soon as I had worked that out, it was easy to beat him. What was the game? Mansfield inquires. Maliod, Trad says triumphantly. You beat the Prince Regent, the professor cuts in, at Maliod. Nearly choking on his breadstick. Isn't he the reigning champion of Maliod? Was. Reg adds, yes, but in my defense, Trad counters, he only wins because he misleads his opponents. So, who is the one cheating? He wins by cheating the cheaters, the professor offers. Yes. No. What do I mean? Trad says. You mean you are a cheat, the professor smiles, who has played a cheat, and by cheating, you cheated the cheater. That, Trad says, pointing and nodding at the professor, then hesitantly, I think. Well, Reg retorts, the prince took great offense, which, as he was the Dragnia of Sylvestine at the time, upset the island. The arrival of the first course puts a stop to the conversation. Plates balanced on mechanical hands glide down from the ceiling and are expertly placed in front of each of them. Phoebe? Says Phoebe, thanking the server. So, Reg, my dear boy, the professor asks, how long does one usually have to wait for the Sylvestine to show its... The professor's words trail off as he, Reg, Trad, Phoebe, are mesmerized by Mansfield, who with the utmost grace picks up an asparagus stalk, virtually hidden by his huge hands, little pinkies extended, and ever so delicately nibbles from one end and back again, stopping occasionally to dab his mouth ever so gently with his napkin before resuming his nibbling. Reg begins, interrupted by Phoebe pointing frantically toward Mansfield. Phoebe. Reg hisses, don't point, it's rude to. Becoming more insistent, Phoebe jumps off the table, swings over to the window behind Mansfield and frantically taps the glass, indicating that the dense black beyond the windows is changing, becoming paler. It is, Reg says excitedly, as he pushes his chair away from the table, sprints out of the door and down the steps, his uniform instantly replacing his tails as he does so. By the time the others have caught up with him, Reg is at the water's edge, gazing across at a cloud of iridescent mist tumbling inland from the middle of the lake, illuminating everything in its path as it rose towards them. Large tendrils like limbs emerge as the mist approaches the group, gently feeling each of their faces. What the? Mansfield recoils at the mist, explores as the mist explores his face. It's okay. Reg smiles. It's just Sinovisten checking us out. It has arms, Trad complains, trying to stop the mist from touching him, while VB takes refuge inside his breast pocket. It's just mist, Reg laughs. It's just invading my personal space, that's what it is, Trad retorts, jumping as the mist playfully nips his behind. Just relax. So long as it likes you, you'll be okay. Hey, enough with the intimate touching, Trad chastises the intrusive mist. And if it doesn't like you? Reg indicates the branches overhead, where a skeleton ripples slightly as the mist seeps through its frame. What? Trad instantly stops objecting. Momentarily engulfing them completely, the mist moves further inland, taking the blackness with it, the remaining light leaving a pearlized, dew-kissed sheen to everything it has touched. Wow! Mansfield breathes, completely mesmerized by the beautiful, illuminated stillness. Standing waterside, he is unable to take his eyes off the brilliant light emanating from the center. It really is beautiful, he says. Isn't it? Reg sighs, equally entranced. Still don't see an island, Trad comments, Vivi perched on his shoulder. Vivi, no island, she mutters. Reg grins. Just wait. Slowly, the intense light dims, revealing an outcrop of craggy rocks, piled high, lush green plants spilling over the plateau, speckled with flecks of color. On just perches where there is a striking white castle. It's a fairy tale turrets and balconies shimmering in the sparkling light. Wow, I had heard it was stunning, but this, Mansfield sighs. Yeah, very pretty, Trad says, unimpressed. How exactly are we supposed to get in? Swim? And even if we could swim it, how do we get up? He gestures the island before them. Seriously, he says, it looks like an ice cream cone. What? He asks as he realizes the others are staring at him. Do you have no sense of romance? Mansfield asks. What? Trad exclaims, looking back at Sylvestine. It does. Look. The bottom is the cone. Up on top is the bit with its drapey, hangy bits off. He turns to Mansfield. Looks like the party string stuff, you know? Okay, you can't eat that, but you get my drift. Then all the... He makes hand gestures. The flowery things, ice cream sprinkles, and the castle. Well, that's straight out of a fairy princess wafer collection. He pauses for a moment, making sure that he has covered everything. Oh, and that sparkling, shimmering stuff, glitter, edible glitter, obviously. An ice cream cone, right? VB, right. VB nods in agreement. Nope, Mansfield says, after a moment of stunned silence. No romance whatever. The Princess Wafer Collection. Is there even such a thing? Reg inquires. Well, if there isn't, there should be, Trad shrugs. You know, instant princess ice cream. Struggle as I might with your brother's analogy of the beauty before us, he does have a point. How do we get to it, my good man? If you will all just have a little patience, Reg replies. A slight flickering at the base of the castle doors catches their attention, fluttering towards them, floating carelessly on the slight breeze. that carries it. A ribbon-like coil unfurls itself. Its size increases as it reaches the water side and gently lowers to the verge, joining the island to the mainland, on contact becoming solid, forming an undulating causeway over the water and up to the doors of the castle. Fronds of white shimmering metal sprout from the ground directly in front of the group, inches from their feet, forcing them to take a step back as they watch it rise. The metal twists and curling before fixing itself to form enormous ornate gates. White ogrilles, a foot high, climb from the sparkling water and assemble themselves randomly on top of each other side of the gate, their comical expressions staring blankly out as they solidify. Okay, now that was impressive, Chad concedes. Do not move, strange ones, a woman's voice warns from behind them. It may be that the mist have allowed you, your life force, to continue. I, however, may not be so gracious and lenient, for I am the one and only one who grants the right to inhabit this land. State your business, and do not engage trickery and deceit with thy lame and putrid lies. I am all-seeing, all-knowing. I cannot be, for the love of... Reg laughs and turns to face the voice. If you would just stop talking for one moment, then maybe... Swoosh! In a blur of a movement, Reg is thrown to the floor. Billowing white robes smother him as he tussles with the body on top of him. Okay, Reg laughs again. I surrender. Ah, victory is mine, the voice declares, raising her arms, at which point Reg grabs her, flips her over face down, and triumphantly sits on her. Or not, comes a stifled moan. You done? Reg asks. Yif. Sorry, I can't quite hear you, he laughs. A steam of muffled obscenience floats up from the ground. Okay, I'm cutting off you now. Okay, no fun stuff. So, getting off. The roles are again reversed. Caddison? Trad says as the white fabric settles and her face becomes visible. Oh, that was fun. She laughs, rolling over. Well? She asks, looking up at the stunned faces. Aren't you going to help an old lady up? The formerly known Sarah May Fospit, overwhelmed when asked to be Drugnia of the Inorthothan Insomed, had accepted the honor with much pride, and had happily adopted her Tyrillian name of Caddison Olopeta Maladov. The request, having come from the Prince Regent directly, was of note in itself, he being of an aloof nature, of few words, and not known to warm to the beings of Fethris Insomids, or any Insomids for that matter. Personally, she had always been rather fond of the Prince Regent, and failed to understand others' continued dislike of him. Pulling himself up, Reg leans down and offers her his hand, and is immediately flipped over onto his back. Will you never learn, Reg? Caddison giggles, jumping up, suddenly regretting the move, grabbing her back, and wincing in pain. She continues to smile down at him, her face a mass of wrinkles, her tiny body swamped in flowing white robes. Good to see you too, Reg mutters as he stands for a second time and brushes himself off. Phoebe? Is that you? She smiles as the little monkey pokes her head out from Trad's coat pocket. So this is the new look, Reg says as Phoebe leaps across to Catterson's head. Phoebe, it's me. Phoebe weeps, hanging upside down, looking at Catterson's face confused. Phoebe places her hands either side of Catterson's face and pulls the skin back. Catterson may be Nathaniel Fosbit's older sister, but there is older and there is older. It's me, Phoebe, she says, letting the monkey climb down onto her arm as she takes a closer look at Catterson's face. It seems the ability to access renewable youth is no longer available to me. She smiles. It appears that I am aging, not fast, but still. She stretches her back. I am on the slippery slope. I had no idea, the professor says from behind her. And you have brought guests, she says, turning to face the professor. She bows slightly to Mansfield, offering a court nod. Father, it's been a long time, she says. Far too long, he replies, stepping forward, attempting to embrace her, a gesture she does not return. Gently holding his daughter by the shoulder, the professor studies her face. So you too have been affected, he sighs. I had hoped it would only be me, but... Yes, she says, pulling away. I see the years are advancing on you too, Father. Although, she adds, I hardly think it's a surprise, considering... My dear, I don't think it's the time or place. Huh? She snorts, removing his hand. Tell me, Father, is there ever a right time to discuss your actions? Sarah, it's Catterson. Quiet. He hesitates, glancing awkwardly at the others. So, Reg cuts in, trying to deflect the tension. Leaving the gate unprotected, he says, brushing leaves from his coat and gesturing backward with a nod of his head. Not such a great idea. Unprotected? She replies momentarily, taking hold of her father's gaze. I think perhaps a better look. Turning, she indicates the supporting pillars as they animate and break away from the gate. The twisted metal becomes spears, each one being grabbed by the now not so comical gag relays, moving to surround the group, spears at the ready, snarling and sending Phoebe scurrying into Trad's hood. Walking slowly around the group, Catterson lowers the spears as she passes. Do not be alarmed, my friends, she says, addressing her guards. They are no threat to us. Come. Turning on her heel, she heads for the causeway. So much for the warm welcome, the professor says, following quickly. This, Catterson remarks, waving her arms at the beautiful setting, was for my return, not your arrival. Trust me, had you not had the protection of the others, she glances up at the swinging skeleton, the welcome would have been quite different. Allowing them to pass, the guards follow closely behind, the rear wheels of the omnibus barely clear the causeway before it crumbles, sinking into the lake behind it. The white mist curls after them, and the blackness closes back in. And that is the end of this chapter. I wonder what the professor didn't want Caddison to say out loud. Because he definitely knows something that he's not sharing with the others. And I think that is a problem. That honestly might actually make him a part of being a villain. Who knows? But definitely leave your comments down below, and let's see what the next chapter holds, shall we? This is Ruby, signing off.